Hi folks, you're with Tastus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this essay. It's not a live stream. I'm pre-recording it, and it'll for the US it'll probably come out sometime on Christmas Day, I guess. I've sort of done a few of them earlier on in the week. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the various ways that students can be and have been motivated to do better at school, get better grades, study harder, work harder, pay more attention in class, those sorts of things. Now, the different sort of situations at home can have an effect quite apart from any natural gifts that the kid may have. So I just want to run through a few of those and then place it in the context of trying to create ideological equal outcomes, and which is, of course, the mad, crazy pursuit of the leftist, globalist. I don't think they actually want equal outcomes. I think it's just a device to try and be disrupt as much as possible the white hegemony. But anyway, let's assume that they've got those intentions. They had it in the Soviet Union and the various communist bloc countries, where they would purposefully give university places to people who had a lineage of lower working class background, and would deny university places to people who were naturally brighter or had a lineage of sort of middle or upper class background. So they deliberately tried to sort of stack the deck there. And they had a few successes in getting particularly bright working class kids and say putting them in space research programs and that sort of stuff. So, but there was a tiny fraction of the population that were thus handpicked and put into those programs. And again, many over the top of better or equally qualified people who came from more advantageous backgrounds. I hope this would change society and would re-engineer society into some sort of egalitarian paradise, but after 70 years of trying it never happened. But anyway, just having a look at that, and I'll go back to sort of my own childhood, I guess, and kids at school. Now, for most of my high schooling, I was in an area that was 99.99% white and was upper middle class. And everyone was doing fairly well. There was a lot of Mercs and Beamers and Volvos around, that sort of thing, late model cars. But the people I knew, like the kids and my friends, that sort of thing, I recall different ways that the families, the parents would motivate the children. Now, one family, if the kid said that he was struggling a bit with any subject, it could be mathematics, could be history, could be anything, the parents responded swiftly and decisively and would arrange coaching out of school coaching. They would have coaches coming to the house, or they would drive the kid to, say, a local coaching sort of cramming type place, but they immediately responded with action, and there was the kid sort of had my buddy had his room was an unusually large sort of room, but half of it was a desk and a comfortable chair, proper light, and all sorts of books, and again, not simply content to get coaches. The father in particular was diligent in this regard. He would sort of arrange a bibliography of books on any subject, and he'd be down in the bookshop buying these textbooks which weren't cheap, and he'd bring them back, and they'd be available for the kid to study and to assist in mastering any of these subjects. And also apart from supplying all the materials, it was, well, do your best, I know you'll be successful. I know you'll succeed. Do your best. But if you've got any problems, come to me, and we'll find a way of sorting it out. And the guy was obviously pretty sophisticated. His mother too, and they gave that support. Not surprisingly, the kid, who wasn't an idiot to begin with, did rather well. And again, if there was anything that he struggled with, then additional resources were made available quickly. Now, not every household can afford that. Not every household's got that inclination. Others, treated it differently. But this household they were far-sighted and reasonably sensible, and of course they had the financial resources to do these sorts of things that other families, even though they were reasonably well-to-do, may not have. Now, there's you go to another household where the parents would say, no, if you want extra literature, you go to the library, and so on, or you go to second-hand bookshops and have a look around. You have to get off your own ass and make the effort. We can suggest what to do and where to go, but you have to make that effort. You have to fully commit and buy into producing a quality education for yourself. So, if you're struggling with history or something, then you go out and you do the work to fix that problem, or to overcome that barrier. Now, that was another way of doing it, but they expected to see the kid himself make a full and total commitment to his own education. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. That kid often had a choice between goofing off with his buddies, or going to the beach, or this or that, or the next thing, or hitting the books, and he had to put extra time in. Whereas the first family, the father was doing a lot of the running around and making sure that all facilities were available. In return, he expected the kid to put the time and effort in, by the way, but the other family wanted a total commitment and buy-in from the kid, that he went out and made his own breaks and made the effort himself to get things. Now there's yet another one, and bear in mind, these are all white upper middle class people. There's no black here, Hispanic there, or something like that. This is an all white, or pretty much an all white neighbourhood. So anyway, there's another family where the father was, or the parents were, look, it's up to you. If you want to study hard, study hard. If you don't want to study, that's fine. You don't have to. You decide what you want to do and what your comfort level is. And if you decide to study, whether you want to bust your ass, or do a light version of study, that's your decision. And we're not going to coerce you or pester you about it. So that was another one. And that kid, who by the way wasn't that bright anyway, he didn't do so good. And I could sort of see it. He lacked the motivation and all that sort of thing. So his parents, in saying, well, it's up to you. You do it as you see fit and you're happy to do. That works with someone who maybe's got some get up and go or some natural motivation and drive, but it doesn't work with someone who's naturally lazy, as this kid was. So, and there are other sort of variations in between, but there was differences in every household. Now, if you go to poorer sort of households where they don't have the resources, they themselves haven't been to school, and they've maybe done okay, working at a basic job in the factory, a low-skill job or something like that, then they may not see the benefit. Also, people like that often have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, so they don't like the idea of the kid doing better than they did, because that makes them feel inferior. Don't think you're better than me. And there was one household where the guy was sort of he had quite a successful, like a lawn mowing business and gardening business. He did quite well out of it, but he resented his kid doing well at school and thought that the kid, if he did well at school, would look down on his dad, and that would be a bad situation and would affect the harmony of the family and that sort of thing. So the kid was, I wouldn't say discouraged necessarily, but certainly wasn't encouraged to do any good at school. So these are just some example of the various ways and the different types of encouragement, or lack of it, as the case may be, that these kids experience. Now, through that, of course, you'll have different outcomes, quite apart from any natural intelligence or a drive or energy that the kid may have. The circumstances alone are differing. The parents' attitude to education, availability of books, the supplemental coaching, and producing reading lists and these sorts of things. These had a material effect. The parents that were the most supportive of the kid and encouraged and so on, those kids on balance did better than the kids that didn't have that. So clearly it does affect outcomes. But those were in the days of where you passed or failed the exam. You were tested on what you knew. Now, part of the reason the teachers said, I need to know what you know, so I have to examine your performance or capability or knowledge or understanding of these various subjects, so I know how I can best help you do better. And there's something very important in that. It's important of a merit-based society and a merit-based economy, that when you fail at something, you then know you've either got to do something different, or you've got to go off and do something else, do something different, try harder, do better, study harder, and so on. So that's what merit-based examinations and a merit-based system shows you. That's why capitalism succeeds when other systems don't. With capitalism, a failing exercise will be dropped much earlier than it would be in an ideological situation. So the wastage is much less and the success is more numerous. And that's why capitalism is a wealthier way of doing it. Only because of that merit. And again, in an ideological situation where everybody gets participation trophies, then there is much reduced, if not no merit there. And that in turn means that the kids that couldn't pass junior high school are getting put through to being gifted master's degrees in university and so on, when they wouldn't have made it past junior high school in a merit-based system. So merit's important for reducing wastage and increasing the propensity for, and indeed the cases and instances of success. And we can see the same in education. I don't believe education is a way to create an egalitarian outcome in society. Gifting people high school diplomas and degrees that they haven't earned, it achieves nothing. And it so perverts the reward system and the signals of success and failure. It so perverts them that it degenerates everything around it, the education system, the economy, and society at large. Coming back to the school thing again, there were kids that, say, I went to the library, and there's quite a well-appointed school library, well-to-do area and that sort of thing. Quite a well-appointed school library, and there were certain kids that every time I went to the library, you'd sort of see them in there hitting the books and doing the hard yards, and they again tended to do better on average and balance than other kids. There were some kids who were pushed into doing it by pestered and cajoled by their parents. Some parents were only one family where the mother in particular would give these kids real fear porn stuff. If you don't pass the exam, monsters and demons will come running out of the closet from out of the bed and under the bed, and they're going to tear you to pieces. So you better. So she always had these terror stories, like the boy was quite frail and asthmatic, and she was obviously concerned about him, how he would turn out in later life. But and she wanted him to the only way he was going to survive in the world was to do well at school, and I kind of saw that even as a kid. I kind of saw that motivation there. But instead of using encouragement and assistance and help, she'd say things. The mother would say things to me like. That if you fail, they'll take you away and you'll be sent to a special school where all the kids are huge and mean and super big, and they're going to kick the shit out of you and beat the crap out of you. You'll be you'll be bullied forever, and they'll do mean things to you. So you better do well at the exams. And that, even as, again, I was probably, I don't know, 13 or 14 when I sort of saw one of these episodes. And I thought, no, that's, that's not going to work. That's going to have the opposite effect. And this kid, I wouldn't call him a buddy, but I kind of knew. The last couple of 100 yards of walking to school was where his family's house was. So when I was walking to school, I'd sometimes walk that last bit with him. And and come exam time, the guy was so stressed that he was, had diarrhea, he was vomiting. He was so stressed and terrified that it had the complete opposite effect of the one that his mother was hoping for. Interestingly, she wouldn't let up. I mentioned it to her one day, as I recall. It's not really working. Do you realise that Michael, his name was, do you realise that Michael's not coping so well with this sort of these dire threats and so on. And I can't remember how I phrased it. I phrased it in the sort of phraseology of a 14-year-old, but and very respectful, as you were taught to respect your elders then. But she was, I don't give a shit. That's the way I'm going to use to motivate him. If he doesn't do well in this exam, then I'm going to terrify him double for the next, and until he does what I want him to do. I get the outcome that I want, the mother said in not so many words. And I thought, holy shit, this isn't going to end well, which it didn't. So anyway, those are the some of the things that go into creating this alleged egalitarian world. So you've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.